I beg you. I'm saying so. Bismarck.
Really?
On social media, they always send me messages.
We're all one big family, okay? We're all. So we love all of. Really? Yes.
You seen the 7-Up cartoon?
No. How long ago was that?
So there's a cartoon character, and he also has the Johnny Bravo. I call your hair 7-Up. I love it, but you're still my best friend. No, so go on.
Oh, you want me to introduce you?
Say something nice about me for once. Say something nice about me.
Brilliant.
Oh yes. I'll build my own national
I'll campaign for you.
Yeah, I'll build national.
I don't think something else going on in this country.
No matter how serious a situation is, we are able to come out of it one people.
Yeah.
Especially if you find especially if you find a Ghanaian living outside the country, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. It's like they grew up in the same home.
Usually, especially like if you're abroad and let's say a Ghanaian spots you that you are Ghanaian and they've been yearning to speak Twi for months and they don't have anybody to speak Twi to. It's like it's cute but it's annoying at the same time because they won't stop talking and it's like I really gotta go.
I mean, irrespective of the age, you just want to say something.
Yeah, we're just lovely people and we're peaceful and I hope we keep this up, right, and no one brings us apart because it's important. Debates are important. It's healthy so that we especially when our leaders are making certain decisions, we voted them into power. They are here to serve us, right? And I'm personally proud of how we've all become active participants in our own development. So it's refreshing.
Interesting. I was a bit sad when Honorable Mensah seemed to suggest that we had voted for the Akufo-Addo, so she just,
but you know politicians.
But I think it was a political exuberance.
Exactly.
But he's still one of the finest lawyers.
Yes, he's
human beings
brilliant,
in general that I've ever met.
And one of our the beautiful thing about our democracy is anybody can say what's on their mind, right, and not be judged for it. So. Honorable Mensah can say what he wants, you can say what you want, I can say what I want, and at the end of the day, we can all come together and make things happen for the country.
So you mean Alban Sumaila Bagbin can also say what he wants?
Why not?
Yeah, well, Honorable Bagbin, then why is he facing so much criticism?
So the thing is, in the spirit of we are all one, we have to make everyone feel like they are part of us, right? A disability is not an inability, right? So if someone is disabled, it doesn't mean that they can't do anything. And especially in a country that is so accepting, that is so loving, there's no reason why we should make statements like, because somebody is blind, they can't do this, or this isn't the right job for them. If they can do it,
no, I mean,
there's nothing wrong with it.
And I'm not saying
because it can happen to any of us. I mean, I can walk out of this set. I was at the market one time, and an umbrella accidentally was almost about to poke my eye out, right? So if I had been blind as a result of that, then someone will say certain doors are automatically closed to me because I am blind now.
You see, I think it's an argument that is slightly and unfortunately very arguable because personally, I do not like how some media houses seem to want to spin the whole narrative to make it seem like he said that disabled people cannot be ministers. He never indeed said that.
No, he said certain rules are not befitting for them. And I don't think, as long as the person has the intellectual faculty, there's no rule any disabled person cannot do. And speaking of disabilities, a lot of buildings around Ghana are not disabled friendly. A lot of businesses are not fair to people with disability. So when a government actually makes the move to bring disabled people in the front line of politics, we should be applauding them for it, right? Because these guys have their PhDs, right? And even for our the COPE and all the other things we've been doing, we get applications from students with straight A's. So Kafui was showing me how they write on a special paper, right? The visually impaired students. It's a different kind of paper, and when you see their handwriting, Wilberforce, you'll be shocked. Beautifully written out, and I'm just wondering how long it took them to actually draft that application letter that they did, right? And for someone to just judge somebody based on their disability, I mean, these are students, maybe something that'll take me 1 hour to do, it takes them 5 hours, but they commit themselves, they work 10 times harder than us to be at the same table as us. And it's shameful for us to even assume that certain roles should not be given to them. It's okay for people who are illiterate or people who don't know any better to make such statements, but for a politician, a parliamentarian, someone who has been in parliament for as long as I've been born, to say that, it's wrong.
I think it was politically incorrect. I think it was maybe morally distasteful, but it's you see, if he says you put a square peg in a round hole, I think maybe we need to look at what he meant when he said that. Personally, I want him to be criticized. All I'm saying is I want him to be criticized for what he said and not the narrative that is being spun on the whole, what he may have said. As of now, he's saying that, he's very confident he's still going to win. So let's just it's a bit difficult because there are some people.
Such a lovely man.
Yeah, he is. That's the thing. I mean, there are some people. There's a story in one of the papers that is saying that some disabled people have put Alban's critics to shame. So there are some people.
I mean, I've met him, and he's so lovely. He's so gentle. He's so kind, right? And nobody's saying. I mean, frankly, he's one of the most amazing politicians, the most selfless people out there. But the only thing is, we have some deep-seated issues that we need to address. There are people I know who say there's nothing wrong with what he said, and Ghanaians are being hypocritical because deep down, we all believe these things. And I'm like, that is wrong for us to actually believe it. Do you get me? And even when his spokesperson came out, he said, oh, what he said was not wrong, right? But it's the way he said it. And it's like the way the media twisted it. And so we can all hear it. If you're saying, what is it, square pegs in round holes, you're trying to say some people are not round, they are square. Right, and if I'm round enough to fit a round hole,
I know there are some positions that, by virtue of one or two things, I would not be able to hold those positions. So
if you tell me that I shouldn't,
but if it's based on a disability,
then it's wrong. You're discriminating against the person, right? And it's wrong. If you tell me, Jifa, don't run. I mean, I've told you several times that I was kicked out of my youth choir because I can't sing, but I still sing anyway. But I'm not going to go apply for a choir. You get me, and you too, you can't dance. So if someone tells you, don't join the dancing team at City TV, so they are not discriminating.
This is
but if it was a thing, but you have a leg, you have a leg. If you practiced well enough, you could become a good dancer, right? And I too, I have a.
I can't practice well enough to become. I've accepted my destiny.
So
I've accepted my destiny.
I think all these things are important, but of course, we should also give room for people to apologize when they do something wrong without really demonizing them, because he's a great person, and I think he didn't mean it in the way that we all took it.
Yeah, well, many are also saying his apology did not actually amount to an apology.
An apology, which I completely agree.
That's besides the point. Now let's take a look at something that happened yesterday as well.
Yes.
It was very interesting. We had lawyer Ace Ankuma, and of course, I mean, he's also of Occupy Ghana, and of course, David Ofosu-Dotte at this particular event at the Alisa Hotel. Organized by City FM.
Business Desk, of course. And I really enjoyed David's submission about the auditors, that we should hold the auditors accountable as well. None of us have been looking at, and it's really important. People go there, they audit these things. Where are the auditors in this conversation?
No, I mean, the auditors, you know, they've been doing this for decades. It's a professional body, so they should have spotted something and come out with this a long time ago.
Yeah.
So they have actually also been called out, and it's very important that they be mentioned as well. But I felt Sam Kume's position was a bit conclusive, overly conclusive,
really?
If I should say. Yes, I mean, going behind the corporate curtain, or what we call lifting the veil. It's you can lift the veil when certain things have been established. For instance, that a company was set up as a facade, that the company is a sham, that fraud especially is one of the main reasons why that easy. I mean, a court would not be ordinarily just sitting down aching to lift the corporate veil, because the courts do respect the fact that the company indeed has separate legal, it is indeed a separate legal entity. You can sue and be sued. So it will take a bit more to lift the corporate veil.
But what I got from Ace is, sorry.
I'm just saying, you need to establish these things first before. So I don't know, I'm just getting a sense of, you know, conclusion that, you know, as it is right now, we can just lift the corporate veil.
Yeah, because he did rightly say, and I'm not a lawyer, but he said that if you commit fraud, if a company commits fraud, then it's no longer, you can't say the company's an entity of its own anymore. The board of directors will be held accountable, and that even their properties should be taken.
I understand you, but then fraud does not lie in the mouth of the public. To establish fraud, it lies in the mouth of the court.
Yeah, but the Bank of Ghana has released the report. Right?
It doesn't even lie in the mouth of the Bank of Ghana. That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Okay.
You have to. The court has to declare fraud. The standard of proof of fraud is really high. Okay. You know, even though it's
even if it's obvious.
I mean, it's yes. Even when it seems obvious. I mean, we've seen cases where Kofi has been seen killing Kwame, yet Kofi will go to court and then he says he's innocent.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm just saying that, you know, I'm looking forward to the court establishing these things first, then the corporate veil can indeed be lifted. Yes. So we'll just call for the video of this particular event yesterday.
And for those of you who don't know the event, it's the behind the corporate curtain, the hidden face of corporate governance, right? So that's the event that we're discussing right now. Let's take a look at the video.
We have a law called the Public Property Protection Act. It was passed, I believe, by the SMCD or NRC. That's the other one. That's the protection of contracts, the government contract. But this one is the Public Protection Act. It says that if you take government money and go and buy a house abroad, when you are convicted, the court in Ghana will give you a piece of paper to sign, transferring title to Ghana. That's so. It's true. We have the law, so we can do it. The question is, who will do it? I asked myself a question. We've heard about Ponzi schemes in Ghana. We heard about Peram, R5, God is Great, DKM. Did anybody go to jail? I don't know. Maybe you do. I don't. Not yet. We are waiting. And so you will have more Ponzi schemes. Because you have never applied the law. There's a positivist view of the law that when you crack the whip, the law will be applied. People will be afraid. But if I can do it, make a lot of money, I never go to jail, I will do it. And I'll try and mask it some more.
Does that process guarantee some sort of payback of our money eventually?
Our laws now say that if you are convicted of an offense involving fraud, the courts have the power to order restitution. And so for those of you who must have read the judgment in the Asibit case, the court, in addition to jailing them, ordered that their properties be sold. Now the law says that that judgment then constitutes a judgment as if it's in a civil case. And so the Attorney General will file a notice of entry of judgment and then proceed to sell your assets. I don't know if that has happened in the Asibit case, but I know that in that case, the judge made a specific order that not only am I jailing them, the monies that have been lost to the state should be recovered from their assets. So I hope that by now their buildings have been seized. I hope that by now all their monies have been seized. I hope the shares they hold in companies have been seized. I just hope. If it's the law, we have it. The defrauding by false pretenses, fraudulent breach of trust, stealing, corruption. The laws exist. Whether we will implement them or whether we'll have the evidence.
Just another.
Okay, so, yeah. A company is different when it's a sole proprietorship. That one you can be sued. You are the company, full stop, more or less. But then when it comes to a limited liability company, the company will, so let's say City FM would have its members. Members means shareholders. It will have its members, and then the members would appoint the directors. So the directors, per the company's code, are the ones supposed to run the day-to-day activities of the company. So there's the directors, the board of directors, which is in charge of managing the company on the board level, and then there's the executive director, which has come up in recent times.
Yes.
So the executive director of the company, so maybe director of finance, general CEO, general manager, could also be a director of the company and the likes. So when, for instance, you're going for a loan, the company needs money for something, it's the companies you are going for the loan with. So if you default in paying the loan, it's not the directors that are in default, but it's the company that's in default. For instance, if a company buys a car for like the vehicles,
I can't come take the. Oh, let's say an individual owes me. If you're the CEO, and
if I'm the CEO,
I can't
you
come
can't come and take the company car
because I think
it belongs to the company. Exactly. Even though I'm the director, the CEO, whatever, it belongs to the company. So that is the sense of. So, but then if the company does any wrong on any level, you cannot attack the. If the company, let's say, defaults in paying certain monies or something. So let's use the banking industry for instance. So depositors funds, the company is unable to pay the depositors and the likes, and the person wants to sue. The person will have to sue the company.
So you can't just see, let's say, a shareholder with a lot of properties and a lot of cars,
exactly,
and you're like, give them to me because you owe me.
Can't.
He's not the one. It's the company that owes.
It's the company that owes you.
But in the case of fraud, then it changes. You can actually take those things
when certain things are established, for instance, fraud, then they can lift. So there's a corporate veil. What is a corporate veil? Or corporate curtain. There's something that's shielding you from attacking the director or the shareholders directly. So there's that corporate veil that the law would enforce or will use to protect the directors who have the fraud. The company it's been held or by the courts that the company was established as a sham or as a facade to, let's say, default people or whatever. Then the courts will just lift the corporate veil and attack the director directly. So if you set up a company and then you are just taking monies from people, and it's clear that the intent is to defraud. We will not say because you have set up a company.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but my point was, the point I was trying to make was that it is at the court level that will determine that indeed fraud has been established. So let's lift the corporate veil.
Sure. But both speakers also mentioned something I found very interesting, which is the role culture law is supposed to rent you a place for just 6 months, and this is an exaggerated example.
It's now 1 year. Well, actually, they're looking at pushing it 1 year,
but legally it's supposed to be like a month
6 months,
or something, 6 months. But
maximum.
we've all been paying 2 years, and then let's say, I don't know, the bodies in charge of it get a really great director who's like, we're going to jail every tenant and every landlord who's been doing this. We will all go to jail, right? So what part does culture play in all of it?
As much as possible, there's a mischief, discovered in society. It's an insult to international humanity. It's internationally accepted that this is wrong. So then we make laws to fight culture in this particular. Other instance shall continue, in existence, shall be established. The Constitution recognizes all those things. So it goes both ways.
He was accidentally shot by a military man, and he has not heard from them in 8 years. The family is meeting the Forestry Commission today, and we hope they will do the needed for them. I think we should look at that video quickly just to remind ourselves of exactly what happened.
When 13-year-old Innocent Quay was sent on an errand with his bicycle on January 19, 2010, all he can recall, his mother, Gladys Jando.
Operation on me, no, one as I'm one at the corner, one church and do their mind near Samba. And because Cuba, meet me, baby up and up and down. But since then, meet me, if you be. So even so, one bucket crest when me pesa me jaria. Just say, Omo boa me and Sametimi, Omo dia koba from Sametimi jari.
Her son's life was not the only thing that was affected that night. His mother recounts the financial and emotional strain the family has lived with for the past 8 years.
37 when I'm quite no. Make Juma say me a fuma Juma na me a fuma Juma me for a 3 posts me by nina say no that banchi nina say I feel me by me yesika Bossian Kwan and me bo me by another way yet Mr. Medina call say 1 month.
Wow. So this is just a quick reminder to our viewers that this young man is actually still suffering. Stray bullet hit him. So what I think the story was summarized. We've spoken about this separately.
The family has suffered for 8 good years. They shouldn't suffer. They should receive whatever it is they are due from the Forestry Commission and the military. Okay, so they are meeting the family to the story. We're not letting it go so they get justice.
Yeah, I think from our side, we're asking for, at least from my side, I'm asking for 2 things. One, prompt and adequate compensation for the, in fact, for pecuniary losses as well, because the boy could have been undertaking economic activity during this 8-year period. And also, the punishment, serious punishment for the person who actually fired the shot.
And the people around him who didn't do anything
who went on this operation.
Yeah. And whoever the supervisor was as well, because they knew of it and they didn't do anything.
So every single person involved in this particular operation should be punished. We are strongly calling for saying we know the Forestry Commission is meat of the bone on this particular issue, and I think the Forestry Commission should not do this without the military, because it's not a Forestry Commission officer that fired the shot. It was a military person in collaboration with the military, and the appropriate people, the right people, should be punished and appropriate compensation given. And let us know about it, and we'll say, hey, kudos, you've done well for once.
Yes.
Anyway,
but Breakfast Daily continues. News review is next. Don't go anywhere.
It's engaging, detailed, and loaded with factual and incisive analysis. It's The Big Issue, your preferred Saturday morning news and current affairs analysis program on City TV. Tune in this and every Saturday at 9 a.m. and hear the newsmakers discuss the top issues for the week.
At that time, Charlotte was complex. I'm not defending Charlotte. I'm talking about the way we behave like hypocrites and ostriches in this country. At that time, she was a perfect person.
It's The Big Issue with Stella Madonu on City TV. This and every Saturday at 9.
Live music, interviews, poetry, and more with your favorite personality guest on Saturdays from 2 to 4 p.m. for the most exciting moments on TV. Join Kojo Akoto Boateng for real entertainment right in your living room. Saturday Live on City TV and City 97.8 FM.
Welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily on CCTV. Now remember, we want to keep the conversation, so use the hashtag Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line
0550-585-832.
Yes. So we'll just delve into our graphic.
Now the Daily Graphic says here that shipping associations call off protest, and there's also another story here. Abdul Hamid happy with construction of AstroTurfs in Zongo communities. And I'm just reminding viewers that he's saying that his position is not a demotion. You know, he's very proud to be the Zongo Minister, or Zongo Development Minister. Ghana extends Continental Shelf Ministry of Energy. And finally, VW to set up in Ghana, Germany to also supply technologies for power plant and vaccine factory. The full story is on page 3. We shall be looking at that.
That story is on page 17. PPA, that is the public-private something. I'll find that out now. Yes, Public Procurement Authority, the PPA saves government 1.6 billion cedis in 15 months. That story is on page 4. And finally, impasse over cargo tracking note. Government stops takeoff. Averts shutdown of shops by Guta and others. That story is also on page 18 of the Ghanaian Times.
Okay, now let's take a look at the weekend crusading guide. It says, Easy Pay, Ghana wins bids, gold award in London. Also another story here says, alarm blows as agenda, get KK Sapong out, fails to click. Interesting. It continues to say that GNPC renders unflinching support in property acquisition. The full story is on pages 3 and 10 this morning of the weekend crusading guide. And also disabled persons shame Bagman critics. Wow. Finally, big boost to economy. Germany to set up car manufacturing plant here. Interesting.
Okay. Now on to the Business and Financial Times. Agric census needs more clarity to be successful. That story is on page 2, and it's coming from MBC Africa. MTN raises 1.1 billion Ghana cedis in IPO, misses mark by 67%. Audit service to scrutinize road projects. That story is on page 2. And finally, CTN cargo tracking notes implementation postponed to October 15.
Now let's take a look at the Chronicle this morning. It says, wicked and malicious headline. Brian H. Champong reacts to Chronicle story. Also, I stand by contents of letter to Brian. This is coming from Efadate. NPP is the only party anchored on rich tradition. Strong claims coming from John Buedu this morning, reported on the front page and also in the Chronicle. Now, finally here on page 7, GRA boss takes tax education to Baptist Convention. So that's what we have this morning on the front page of the Chronicle. You should get a copy. Get more details.
Yes, now on to the Herald. The Herald has president cars and they've refused to use them after delivery. Petroleum Commission summons Siemens Oil and Gas for breaking Ghanaian law. I think it's Siemens Oil and Gas firms for breaking Ghanaian laws. IMF queries finance minister over $2 billion bauxite deal.
Now let's take a look at the Independent, which says rolling stories on page of technologies for the construction solar and
says her country fully supports.
Yes, next year, next 2 years, we'll start seeing something on the ground, concrete evidence that it's really going to happen. And I
independent manufactured product move from the west
and within a